Hello there. Carrie will be pleased. Boris seems to have come away from Saudi Arabia with no promises of any more oil. It looks like Boris has come away from his visit to the UAE and Saudi Arabia empty-handed of oil. Carrie and the Greens will be so contented. Now, to be fair, I haven't seen a definitive no from anyone, but there's also been no sign of a definitive yes either, despite the close relations that Boris is supposed to have with the Saudi Crown Prince. And the reaction of the markets was to put another unwelcome surge into oil prices, just as gas prices are also rising. So that's a couple of countries potentially crossed off the list of those who Boris can tap into for more oil once we've stopped importing the Russian black stuff at the end of the year. So what's he going to do now? Drill and frack at home, or freeze and starve? Well, given the green agenda and how vehemently MPs in potential fracking constituencies are arguing against this in the House, I've watched them do it, and the determination of the Green lobby to keep UK oil and gas in the ground and under the seabed, then freezing and starving might well be the outcome. Now, as spring approaches and the weather warms towards summer, heating might be consigned to the back burner, with no decision made in the hope that something will come along to save the Tory bacon before we freeze next winter. But with limited oil, it means sky-high domestic oil prices and sky-high transport costs as diesel and petrol prices climb ever higher throughout the year. That includes such things as aviation fuel for your holiday abroad, if you can now afford such a luxury. To the point that petrol and diesel rationing becomes imposed on all but the rich due to the pure cost of the stuff. And this is following the green agenda, of course. Push prices for energy sky high, then limit supplies and force ordinary people off of the roads, out of jetliners and cruise ships, etc. Make necessities like food and fuel so expensive that they can't afford any luxuries, so overall they consume less of the planet's resources. But the wealthy will continue to consume at will. But the bosses in oil-producing countries don't worry. They get to keep their profits as they control the oil flow and ultimately the prices. As long as we keep buying the stuff, that is. Now, some of those that control oil production are probably so filthy rich by now that they no longer need to work on producing the black stuff to maintain their lifestyles. And neither do they care how much it costs ordinary people to use it. But it does give those producers the means with which to shape the politics of the world. And the political cost of trading with these people is not likely to reduce anytime soon. And just look around you at what's going on right now. Anyway, here are the top 10 exporters of oil into the UK in 2020 according to Statista.com in order of highest to lowest. Norway, with nearly 12 million metric tonnes. The US, with over 11 million metric tonnes. Russia, nearly 4 million metric tonnes. Then down to Nigeria, Canada, Algeria, Turkey, Egypt, Libya, and finally France, providing just 156,000 metric tonnes. Saudi Arabia was in 16th place in 2020 with 69,000 metric tonnes sent to the UK. So it's not like we're a big customer of theirs, is it? But in 2020, the North Sea produced over 45 million metric tonnes of oil for the UK. And out of that, we exported 17.5 million metric tonnes to the Netherlands alone for their domestic use and transshipment to places like Belgium. China got 5.3 million metric tonnes. Germany took 4.8 million metric tonnes and South Korea 2.1 million metric tonnes. Bottom line, right now the UK government is in a bind over how to replace just 4 million metric tonnes of Russian oil by the end of the year and the small amount of 3% or so of Russian gas that filters here via the EU pipeline system. But that's just volume. Oil prices are determined globally. And as people refuse to take Russian oil in case they end up funding Putin's war machine, it means there's less of the stuff slushing about on the markets, so prices will have to rise. The dynamics of supply and demand at work. So even if the UK managed to wheedle enough to cover this annual shortfall, it probably wouldn't move the global price. So the poorest in the UK will still get mercilessly hammered and probably not be able to afford to use the stuff anyway. Although the less pernickety around the globe might decide to barter directly with Russia for a discount on their oil, like India just did. I wonder how many will follow them. And the longer this Russia-Ukraine conflict lasts, the worse it will get. So what choices do we have? Well, a whole myriad in between two extremes. On the one hand, we could just let the markets rip and throw the poor to the wall and let them eat frozen cake, while we wait for the likes of wind, solar and tidal power to fill the yawning gap. But how we'd have the industrial muscle to do that without burning fossil fuels to achieve it, I'm not sure. Unless we do as we do now, and pay another country, like China, to burn the fossil fuels for us and make the green tech so that we can then import it. Or we can nationalise the entire energy sector from top to bottom, make everyone in it a state employee, keep all the energy in the UK to decouple us from the international pricing system, and have the government set the price domestically, while only importing the absolute minimum we need. Ending up with a Labour government probably setting the price based on your council tax band or some other such nonsense. Although once again that would probably entail quite a lot of UK fossil fuel use to avoid rationing and blackouts. Choices, choices, choices.